In today's video, I survived 100 days in Mega Ultra Hardcore Minecraft. Now, most of you probably already know what Hardcore Minecraft is, but Mega Ultra Hardcore is much different, so let me explain. In Mega Ultra Hardcore, you can't regenerate health from eating food, so the only way to regenerate is to eat golden apples or to make healing potions. And I also gave zombies full diamond armor, skeletons full diamond armor, and I made all creepers supercharged creepers, so I had to be extra careful. And there's also one more twist, so make sure to watch the entire video. Also, this video took an insane amount of time to make and many attempts to complete this challenge, so make sure to drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and also leave a comment so other people have more of a chance of seeing this as well. One more thing, this video was inspired by Luke the Notable for the 100 Days concept and Corinthians for the Mega Ultra Hardcore idea. Their channels will be linked down in the description below. And without further ado, let's get right in the video. Day 1 started with me loading into my Minecraft world, and once I loaded in, I decided to go ahead and look around, and then I ended up spotting a village, so I decided to go ahead and explore it. Once I got to the village, I decided to get a bunch of food and resources, and then I mined some cobblestone so I could go ahead and make some stone tools. And finally, it was the end of day 1, and there was 99 more days to go. Day 2, I spotted some iron in a ravine, so I decided to go ahead and mine it, but I had to be extra careful not to take any fall damage. And then I ended up getting some iron. And for the rest of day 2, I ended up exploring the cave at the bottom of the ravine, but I didn't find much besides a lot of coal. Day 3, I decided to go ahead and explore around a little bit and get a bunch of resources to build my first ever house. And while I was exploring, I found a pretty strange structure, so I went to go check it out. And when I went inside the structure, I saw a chest, and when I opened it, I found a buried treasure map, which meant I was going on a new journey. So I spent the rest of day 3 and days 4 and 5 looking for this buried treasure. And it was not easy finding this treasure. I had to hide underground at night, hoping no mobs would find me. And finally, at the end of day 5, I finally found the treasure, and when I opened it, there was a bunch of iron in it and a diamond as well. And that was the first diamond I ended up finding in this hardcore series. As I was traveling back to the village on day 6, I ended up finding a sunken ship, so I decided to go ahead and explore it and try to find as many chests as I could in it. It took a while, but I ended up finding all the chests, and I got a lot of good resources out of it. And on day 7, I spent the entire day getting back to the village so I would once again be safe. And at the end of day 7, I finally made it back. Day 8, I decided to go ahead and smelt all the iron I had. And then I went ahead and made some iron armor and some iron tools so I could go ahead and do some more mining. As I was mining, I ended up finding a mine shaft, and when I went in it, there was a supercharged creeper, so I needed to be super careful. I ended up spending days 8 through 11 mining a bunch of iron and exploring the mine shaft, and fighting some mobs as well. I also ended up doing some additional mining, and I ended up finding some gold, and I also ended up finding some diamonds as well. Day 12, I ended up smelting all the ores I had found from mining, and now that I had some gold, I ended up looking for some apples, so I could go ahead and make a golden apple to heal myself, as I was already at 3 hearts and was about to die. Day 13, I got back with all my apples, and then I ended up making the rest of my iron armor, and then I used the gold I had to go ahead and make 2 golden apples. And then I decided to eat them so I could finally regenerate my health. As I was celebrating, some creepers decided to rudely interrupt me, so I had to go ahead and take them out. On day 14, I got a bunch of materials so I could go ahead and build my first ever house, and then I decided to go ahead and expand the land so I had more room to build my house. And on day 15, I started to build my house, but I quickly realized I didn't have enough spruce wood to go ahead and finish building my house, so I had to go ahead and get more. As I was mining some spruce wood, I ended up spotting a dog, so I decided to try and tame it with the 2 bones I had, and luckily I was able to tame it. I ended up spotting another dog, and somehow I was able to tame it with 1 bone, so I was pretty lucky. Once I got back, I ended up spending days 16 through 24 working on my brand new house, and it was coming along really well. I ended up making a few mistakes here and there, but once the house was complete, it was looking great. It wasn't the biggest house, but I could always expand on it later. I then invited my dogs inside the house, and they seemed to love it. After celebrating with my dogs for the day, I spent day 25 getting all my stuff from the little cave I had built in the beginning, and then I finished setting everything back up in my house. Since I was in the building mood, I decided to go ahead and build a mining room just like I had in my original hardcore video. Day 26, I decided to make the walls out of cobblestone to make it look a little bit different from last video. And on days 27 and 28, I spent clearing out a bunch of area so I'd have a lot of room in the mining room. Once I cleared out some space, I decided to use spruce wood for the floors, and it looked pretty nice in the end. Days 30 and 31, I spent smelting some cobblestone so I could go ahead and make some stone bricks for the walls. After I had some stone bricks, I decided to go ahead and start building the walls, and it matched really well with the spruce wood on the floor. And then I decided to make the ceiling out of spruce wood, and once I finished building the mining room, I decided to put down a bunch of chests and furnaces, and once that was complete, the mining room looked great. On days 32 through 34, I decided to get as much cobblestone as possible, as I was going to be building a huge wall around my entire base to protect me from all mobs. Once I got all the resources I needed, I spent days 35 through 39 working on this wall, and it took an insane amount of time. I needed to make sure these walls were high up enough so no zombies, skeletons, spiders, or creepers could get in, and I'd be perfectly safe. The walls were actually built up so high I had to use a water bucket to get down so I didn't take any fall damage. That just shows how careful I was being when building these walls so I didn't take any fall damage. I was low enough at 4 hearts and I couldn't take any risk. And finally, after building for so long, on day 39, it was finally complete. Day 40, I ended up adding a design with some stone bricks I had left over from the mining room, and I put it on top of the wall, and it looked pretty good once it was finished. When I went back to my house, there was somehow a zombie that got in, so I had to go ahead and take him out. It was an intense fight, but I ended up taking him out, and he dropped some diamond leggings. Since I was down to 3 hearts, I decided to go ahead and search for a lava pool on day 41 so I could go to the Nether and get some gold. Luckily, I found a Nether ruin, so I was able to get some obsidian since I had crafted a diamond pickaxe. I ended up finding some lava underneath it, so I would have plenty of obsidian to go ahead and make a Nether portal. I also ended up finding a chest with some gold tools and armor in it. And I also ended up finding a block of gold, and that was really helpful, so I could go ahead and make a golden apple. And by the end of day 41, I ended up getting back to my base. And on day 42, I was able to craft a golden apple, and this was really helpful since I was down to 1.5 hearts. Then I decided to go ahead and quickly build the Nether portal, and then it was finally time to go in. I then spent days 42 through 44 mining as much gold as possible so I could go ahead and make a bunch of golden apples. Once I had a decent amount of gold, I decided to come back to the overworld so I could go ahead and look for some apples so I could go ahead and make some golden apples. And finally, once I had gotten 3 apples, it was time to go ahead and make 3 golden apples so I could go ahead and heal myself. I was super happy I was able to heal myself with the golden apples I had, but after this point, some strange things started to happen. As I was going back to the Nether, I saw something to my left. When I turned, it was gone. I knew this could only be one thing. Herobrine was here. I still decided to go mine some gold in the Nether, but something hit me, and it was a fireball. I turned around and I saw Herobrine. I ran as fast as I could, but I ended up falling down and I was at 1 heart. One more wrong move and everything I worked for would be gone. I quickly made it back home as fast as I could, and luckily I had enough gold to go ahead and make some golden apples, and I needed to heal as quick as possible. Now that Herobrine was after me, I knew I needed to fight back, so on days 46 through 52, I went mining for some diamonds and gold so I could go ahead and get stacked up. As I was mining, I ended up finding ravines, so this would be very helpful. I ended up finding a bunch of iron, some lapis, a lot of redstone, a few blocks of obsidian, and finally a bunch of gold and diamonds. And finally, on day 53, I came back with 22 diamonds and 45 gold blocks. I decided to use the diamonds I got to make full diamond armor and a diamond axe. Then I went ahead and did a little bit of celebrating with my new diamond tools and armor. Day 54, I spent some time breaking a lot of leaves so I could go ahead and get some more apples. And once I got back, the gold had finished smelting and I was able to make a bunch of golden apples. I then spent the rest of day 54 and day 55 getting a bunch of wood and materials so I could go ahead and make an enchantment room. And I also started to expand some land out so I could go ahead and build this enchantment room right next to my house. And on days 56 through 58, I spent building my enchantment room. Unlike last video, I didn't want the enchantment room to be as big as it was before, so I decided to go for a little bit of a smaller design. And on day 58, the enchantment room was nearly complete, but I ended up forgetting to get some bookshelves, so I had to spend days 59 and 60 getting some materials to go ahead and make a lot of bookshelves. Day 61, I ended up crafting a bunch of bookshelves, and I ended with 26 bookshelves in the end, and I had plenty to complete my enchantment room. I then made an enchantment table and placed it in my enchantment room, and when I checked the enchants, I ended up having a full 30 level enchantment room. I then spent days 61 through 64 killing a bunch of mobs, mining a bunch of ores, and smelting a bunch of ore so I could go ahead and get as much XP as possible. And by day 65, I had plenty of experience to go ahead and enchant all of my armor and tools. And in the end, I was finally stacked up and I looked awesome. Day 66 and 67, I decided to go ahead and break my nether portal so I could go ahead and move it into another position, and then I wanted to go ahead and do something I forgot to do at the beginning of this hardcore series, which was to go ahead and build a small farm next to my house. And I also wanted to include some animals in this farm as well, so I ended up leading a bunch of cows and sheep back to my base. And as I went to go look for some pigs, Herobrine came to my base and he ended up killing all the animals in my farm. After he killed all the animals, he then destroyed all the crops at my base. This was not good. When I got back with the pigs, I realized everything was destroyed and I had a lot of work to do. Day 68, I spent getting some materials to go ahead and fix my farm. And luckily, I was able to repair everything on the same day. Day 69 through 73, I decided to go ahead and get materials and build a nether portal similar to the one I did in my last hardcore video. I decided to do the exact same design as last video, but obviously I would change most of the blocks to make it look a little bit different. And finally, on day 73, the nether portal was finally complete. day 74, I decided to go ahead and get some resources such as some gold, so I could go ahead and make some golden apples and get prepared for the Nether. And finally, on day 75, I was prepared to go to the Nether so I could go ahead and look for a Nether fortress. And on days 75 through 77, I spent looking for the Nether fortress, and I also mined as much gold as I possibly could along the way. And finally, on day 78, I finally found the Nether fortress, and I knew that this was going to be intense. I then spent days 78 through 81 exploring the Nether fortress, and I knew I had to be extra careful because I couldn't regenerate, and it was super easy to take damage in the Nether fortress. I finally ended up finding the blaze spawner, and I had to be extra careful. There were so many blazes, and I knew I could easily die from one hit of their fire. The technique I used to kill them was to sit back and bow them to take as little damage as possible. And at one point I got to half a heart, and I could have lost everything right here. But luckily I was able to make it out alive. And once I had enough blaze rods, I got out of there. I came way too close to dying multiple times, and it was way too risky to stay there any longer. And by day 82, I made it back to the Nether portal, and I went straight back to my base. I needed to heal as quick as possible, and I had a pretty good plan to do this. Since I had gotten some nether warts, I decided to go ahead and make a nether wart farm so I could go ahead and get nether warts at any time I needed them. And on day 83, I spent getting the right materials to go ahead and make some healing potions. With the healing potions, it would be way more convenient to use those instead of golden apples since they were way easier to make. When they were complete, I decided to use them, and I was finally back to full health. And on day 84, I decided to return to the Nether so I could go ahead and get as much gold as possible to trade with some piglins. And on days 84 through 87, I spent getting as much gold as possible. And finally on day 88, I had gotten a bunch of gold, and then I decided to start trading with some piglins. And after giving the piglin a bunch more gold, I finally went to see what I got, and I had plenty of ender pearls to go ahead and go to the end. On day 89, I got back to my base, and I was getting all the resources I needed to go ahead and go to the end. And on days 90 through 91, I was finally prepared to go take on the Ender Dragon, and it was finally time to go look for the stronghold. I ended up getting lost a few times, but on day 92, I ended up making it to the stronghold. I ended up placing all of my Eye of Enders in the end portal frames. Then I made sure I had everything I needed to go to the end, and finally I entered the end portal. I knew the first thing I needed to do was take out all the end crystals, and then I would take on the Ender Dragon. And finally, after I took out the last end crystal, it was finally time to take on the Ender Dragon. As I went to go fight the Ender Dragon, something appeared in front of me, and it was Herobrine. And I knew that this fight wasn't going to be easy. I ran towards Herobrine and he started hitting me, and before I could hit him, I needed to go ahead and heal before I died. We continued to fight, but no matter what I did, nothing seemed to work against him. And as Herobrine was about to finish me off, I grabbed a poison potion I made and threw it directly at him. And it seemed like Herobrine didn't like that, so he flew away, and I had defeated Herobrine. I then realized I still needed to take out the Ender Dragon, which is exactly what I did. After being able to take out Herobrine, I was super confident I could defeat the Ender Dragon, which is exactly what I did with no problem. I then collected all the XP I got from killing the Ender Dragon, and then it was time to claim my reward, which was the Dragon Egg. Day 97, I spent the entire day getting back to my base so I could go ahead and celebrate the last few days. I then spent the rest of day 97 working on a platform to put my dragon egg on, and once it was complete, it looked great. I then spent days 98 and 99 working on an automatic firework dispenser so I could go ahead and celebrate the last few days with my dogs. And I also used some leftover resources to go ahead and craft some fireworks as well. And it was finally day 100 and I celebrated the day with my dogs and I started the fireworks and they looked great. And I survived 100 days of Mega Ultra Hardcore Minecraft. This challenge took an insane amount of time to make, and it was overall the most difficult thing I've ever done in Minecraft. So if you guys could drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and leave a comment if you did enjoy this video, I would really appreciate it. And once again, thank you all so much for watching the entire video. I really do appreciate it. And this was an insane challenge. If you guys would like 200 days of Mega Ultra Hardcore Minecraft, let me know in the comments down below. And let's aim for 300 likes on this video for 200 days. And that is basically it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Later.